Today, we're going to explore a topic that unfortunately is quite common in the daily lives of many people: manipulation. This form of negative social influence shows how individuals or organizations use subtle tactics to gain control and advantage over others. Manipulation can occur in various areas of life, whether in the workplace, personal relationships, or even large social groups. It's essential to understand and recognize these tactics to safeguard our autonomy and promote healthier and more transparent relationships. Learning to defend oneself is crucial, and to help with that, we'll examine the most common manipulation tactics. Remember, all knowledge is neutral. Its impact depends on how it's used. Therefore, these tactics should be used responsibly, only for self-defense or personal growth. We'll understand how manipulation can silently infiltrate our lives, often without us realizing it. We'll demystify these techniques, not just to recognize them, but also to equip ourselves with the necessary tools to counter them. By the end, you'll be better prepared to face the world with a more critical eye and an alert mind. Here's one of the most insidious manipulation tactics: triangulation. Before we start, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot and costs you nothing. Let's get started. 1. Triangulation. Triangulation is a subtle but powerful manipulation tactic that involves introducing a third person into a relationship dynamic to create division, tension, or confusion. The manipulator uses this third person as a tool to exercise control, destabilize the existing relationship, or divert attention from their own questionable actions. The manipulator might set people against each other by sharing twisted or private information between them, or using a third person to back up their own views and discredit the other party. This can make the victims doubt their own feelings and perceptions, isolating them and making them more reliant on the manipulator. For example, in a family, a parent might speak badly about one child to another, creating an alliance with the second child and leaving the first one feeling isolated and insecure. At work, a boss might share negative comments about one employee with another, causing rivalry and distrust between them. Triangulation is especially harmful because it destroys trust and direct communication, allowing the manipulator to control the situation and avoid responsibility for conflicts. Victims of this tactic often find themselves in endless misunderstandings and conflicts without realizing the manipulator's role. To counter triangulation, it's important to recognize the tactic, maintain open and honest communication with the other parties involved, and set strong personal boundaries. Question the information you receive, seek clarification directly from others, and refuse to engage in conversations or actions that create division or distrust. 2. Double bind. A double bind is a psychological manipulation where a person is trapped between two contradictory choices or messages, making them wrong or disadvantaged no matter what they do. This tactic is used to confuse and control the victim, making them feel powerless and anxious because there is no right way to respond. The manipulator may give conflicting demands or expectations. For example, a parent might criticize a child for not being open, but when the child tries to express their feelings, they are scolded for being disrespectful. Here, the child is caught in a double bind. If they speak up, they're punished, and if they stay silent, they're also criticized. In relationships, one person might say they want more independence, but get upset or distant when their partner spends time alone. The victim of this manipulation becomes confused and unsure of how to act, because every action seems to lead to a negative outcome. This type of manipulation is particularly harmful because it undermines the person's ability to trust their own judgment, leading to constant self-doubt and lower self-esteem, making them more dependent on the manipulator To deal with a double bind, recognize it as a manipulation tactic, not a reflection of your own failures. Seek support from trusted friends, counselors, or therapists to validate your feelings and perceptions. Set clear boundaries and communicate assertively to protect yourself from this type of manipulation. 3. Projection. Projection is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator blames their own faults, feelings, or wrong intentions on the victim. This happens when the manipulator doesn't want to face their own issues or bad behavior, so they push these onto someone else, making that person feel guilty or doubtful about their own actions and feelings. This tactic twists the victim's reality, causing them to question their perceptions and feel responsible for problems that actually belong to the manipulator. For example, a jealous partner might accuse the other of being unfaithful or flirting when it is actually the accuser who has these thoughts or behaviors. Projection helps the manipulator shift attention away from their own faults and make the victim feel defensive, confused, or guilty without reason. This can lower the victim's self-esteem and increase their emotional dependence on the manipulator. To counter projection, the victim needs to stay confident in their own reality and set clear boundaries. It's important to recognize when you are being targeted by this tactic and not to take on the false accusations. Keeping a record of your own thoughts and feelings, seeking feedback from trusted friends or family, and practicing self-affirmation can help. It's also crucial to emotionally distance yourself from the manipulator and set boundaries, refusing to take responsibility for problems that are not yours. In severe cases, it might be necessary to cut ties or seek professional support to deal with the effects of this manipulation. 4. Time pressure. Time pressure is a manipulation tactic used to make the victim decide quickly by creating a false sense of urgency. The manipulator insists that immediate action is necessary to avoid negative outcomes or to seize a unique opportunity. This method takes advantage of the fear of missing out and anxiety, reducing the time the victim has to think, research, or seek other opinions. This strategy is often used in high-pressure sales, where the seller claims that an offer is only available for a limited time or that only a few items are left. However, it can also occur in personal and professional relationships, such as when someone demands an immediate response to a significant request or sets an unrealistic deadline for an important decision. When faced with time pressure, it's essential to recognize the tactic and give yourself enough time to make a well-thought-out decision. Don't be rushed into making choices without proper consideration. If needed, ask for more time to think, consult others, and evaluate the situation thoroughly. Setting boundaries and refusing to act under pressure are key strategies to protect yourself from this form of manipulation. The manipulated individual may end up making quick decisions that often harm themselves and benefit the manipulator. This false urgency prevents the victim from considering all options, consulting others, or trusting their own intuition. To fight this tactic, it's important to recognize when someone is using time pressure to influence your decision. Always ask for time to think. Don't give in to the rush. And remember that very few decisions actually need an immediate response. Time pressure is a warning sign of manipulation, and by waiting, you may get more information to help you make a better decision. 5. Inconsistency and Unpredictability. Inconsistency and unpredictability is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator acts erratically and unpredictably, causing confusion and insecurity in the victim. This behavior can swing from being very loving and attentive one moment to cold and dismissive the next, with no clear reason. This unpredictable behavior keeps the victim constantly disoriented and anxious, as they can't understand or predict the manipulator's actions. This tactic is often seen in abusive relationships, where the abuser switches between kindness and cruelty to create an emotionally unstable environment. The victim, trying to understand the manipulator's behavior and seeking their approval or love, gets trapped in a cycle of trying to please the manipulator, but never achieving stability or satisfaction. Unpredictability works because people naturally seek consistency and stability. When someone's actions don't follow a logical or predictable pattern, it becomes hard to adapt or respond properly, leading to emotional and psychological dependence on the manipulator, who seems to be the only source of stability or relief. To deal with inconsistency and unpredictability, the victim needs to recognize the manipulator's behavior pattern and understand that it's not their responsibility to constantly adjust to please the other person. It's important to set clear boundaries and keep emotional distance from the manipulator. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can provide the needed perspective and support to deal with this form of manipulation and rebuild self-esteem and independence. 6. Emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is when the manipulator uses emotions to control the victim's actions, often by creating a sense of guilt, fear, or obligation. They might say things like, "If you really loved me, you would do this," or "I'll be very upset if you don't comply." This tactic exploits the victim's feelings and can be very powerful, making them feel trapped and responsible for the manipulator's emotions. To counter emotional blackmail, it's important to recognize it for what it is: a manipulation tactic. Maintain your own emotional boundaries and don't let the manipulator's feelings dictate your actions. Assert your right to make decisions without undue pressure and seek support from others to strengthen your resolve against this type of manipulation. To deal with emotional blackmail, it's important to recognize when it's happening, set and maintain clear boundaries, and communicate your needs assertively. This means expressing your feelings and needs without letting fear, guilt, or obligation control your actions. Building self-esteem and seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can also help you resist the pressure and maintain your independence. 7. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator denies certain events happened or twists facts to contradict the victim's memory. They might also belittle the victim's feelings, calling their reactions crazy or irrational, or use private information to discredit them. This causes the victim to constantly doubt themselves and seek outside validation. Gaslighting can happen in personal relationships, at work, or even in larger contexts like politics or media. The effects are serious, often leading to anxiety, depression, and a loss of trust in one's own perceptions and memories. To counter gaslighting, it's essential to strengthen your trust in yourself and your perceptions. Keeping a record of events or conversations can help, as can seeking external perspectives to confirm reality. Setting firm boundaries with the manipulator is crucial, and in severe cases, removing yourself from the toxic situation might be necessary. Recognizing and naming the experience of gaslighting empowers the victim and reduces the manipulator's control. 8. False social approval. False social approval is a manipulation technique where the manipulator pretends that more people agree with them than actually do. They might make up stories, twist facts, or create an illusion of widespread support to convince the victim that a particular opinion, behavior, or product is more popular or acceptable than it really is. This tactic exploits the human desire to fit in and be part of the group. By making it seem like everyone is doing it or everyone agrees, the manipulator pressures the victim into conforming. To deal with false social approval, be skeptical of exaggerated claims of consensus. Seek out independent information and opinions and trust your own judgment. Remember that just because someone says something is popular or widely accepted, it doesn't mean it's true. For example, in advertising, you might see fake testimonials from satisfied customers or claims that a product is the best-selling without any proof. In personal relationships, a manipulator might falsely say, "Everyone thinks you should do this," to pressure someone into agreeing. To defend against false social approval, it's important to think critically and question claims of popularity or acceptance. Look for solid evidence before believing these claims and trust your own judgment, even if it means going against what seems to be the majority opinion. Recognizing this tactic helps people make more genuine choices and resist the pressure to fit into made-up or exaggerated social norms. 9. Concealment of information. Concealment of information is a manipulation tactic where someone deliberately hides important information to influence another person's decisions or perceptions. This can change the victim's understanding and behavior because they make decisions based on incomplete or misleading information. This type of manipulation can happen in many areas, like personal relationships, business, and politics. For example, in a relationship, a partner might hide information about their finances or past relationships, affecting trust and how the relationship works. At work, a boss or colleague might leave out key details about a project, making it hard for someone to do their job well or make informed choices. In sales or negotiations, hiding information about a product's defects or unfavorable terms can trick someone into making a bad decision. In politics, keeping important information from the public can sway opinions and election results. To defend against the concealment of information, it's crucial to ask questions and seek out all relevant information before making decisions. Trusting but verifying details, consulting multiple sources, and being cautious of one-sided information can help ensure a complete understanding of the situation. This awareness allows for more informed and balanced choices, protecting against manipulation. 10. Fear attachment. Fear attachment is a tactic where the manipulator creates a scenario where the victim believes something terrible will happen if they don't comply. This can range from direct threats to subtle hints or imagined negative scenarios. The goal is to make the victim feel they have no choice but to obey or agree to avoid the feared outcome. This can happen in many situations, such as personal relationships, workplaces, marketing, and politics. For example, a partner might use the fear of abandonment to control the other's behavior, or a boss might imply that an employee's job security depends on complying with certain demands. In advertising, fear attachment can convince consumers they need a product to avoid danger or embarrassment. To defend against fear attachment, recognize when fear is being used to manipulate you. Question the reality of the threats. Objectively evaluate your options and seek advice or alternative viewpoints. Staying calm and not acting impulsively under fear is crucial, as well as building self-esteem and support networks to reduce vulnerability to fear-based manipulation. Knowing your boundaries and rights can help you stand firm against attempts to exploit fear. Learning coping techniques and resilience can also help you handle fear healthily and assertively, reducing the manipulator's impact on your emotions and decisions. 11. Blame game. The blame game is a common manipulation tactic where the manipulator tries to shift responsibility for their own mistakes or behaviors onto the victim. This aims to make the victim feel guilty, even if they haven't done anything wrong, leading them to doubt themselves, apologize excessively, and take on responsibilities that aren't theirs. Recognizing the blame game is important for defending against it. Understand that the manipulator is trying to avoid responsibility by making you feel guilty. Maintain your confidence in your actions and decisions, and don't take on blame that isn't yours. Communicating assertively and setting clear boundaries can help you resist this form of manipulation. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can also provide perspective and help you stand up against unfair blame. This tactic can be seen in various situations, like abusive relationships, workplaces, or dysfunctional families. For instance, in a relationship, a manipulative partner might blame the other for their own jealousy, claiming it's the victim's actions that provoke their behavior. At work, a colleague or boss might blame the victim for a project's failure, even though it wasn't their fault. To defend against the blame game, it's important to keep a clear sense of reality and not accept blame for things that are out of your control or someone else's responsibility. Strengthening self-awareness and self-esteem helps you recognize and reject unfair blame. Keeping a record of events and conversations can help you challenge false accusations and stay objective. Set clear boundaries with the manipulator and communicate assertively that shifting blame is unacceptable. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can also provide validation and a fresh perspective, helping you break free from the imposed guilt cycle. 12. False praise. False praise is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator gives insincere compliments to influence and control the victim. This approach is used to gain the victim's trust, make them lower their guard, or make them feel indebted. False praise is often used to soften someone before making a request or to distract them from hidden motives. Skilled manipulators use compliments to create a positive atmosphere and a false sense of security. When a person feels valued or praised, they are more likely to want to return the favor or maintain the positive feeling, making them more open to influence. These compliments can be about the victim's appearance, intelligence, abilities, or any other attribute. To defend against false praise, it's important to recognize when compliments might be insincere and used as a tool for manipulation. Trust your instincts and consider the context in which the praise is given. Ask yourself if the compliment is genuine or if it's meant to gain something. Stay alert to follow up requests or actions that might reveal the true intent behind the praise. Maintaining a balanced view of your own strengths and weaknesses can help you stay grounded and less affected by manipulative flattery. 13. Victimization. Victimization is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator acts like they are a victim of unfair situations, other people, or events they can't control. This tactic is used to gain sympathy, avoid responsibility for their actions, and influence others to act in their favor. By pretending to be victims, manipulators try to get compassion and make others give in, offer help, or change their behavior to benefit the manipulator. This kind of manipulation works well because it appeals to people's natural instinct to help those who are suffering or at a disadvantage. However, instead of being genuinely distressed, manipulators use victimization to achieve specific goals, like diverting attention from their own bad behavior, controlling others, or gaining resources and benefits. They might even reverse roles, making themselves look like the victim after they have hurt someone, to avoid consequences and make the real victim feel guilty and apologize. To protect yourself from manipulation by victimization, it's crucial to recognize when someone is using this tactic. Stay aware of the context and whether the person's distress seems genuine or calculated. Keep clear boundaries and don't let guilt or sympathy drive you to act against your best interests. Seek support from friends, family, or professionals to gain perspective and maintain your confidence. 14. Intentional silence. Intentional silence, also known as the silent treatment, is a manipulation tactic where someone deliberately ignores or refuses to communicate to exert control, power, or punishment. This can be very harmful as it invalidates the victim's feelings and creates uncertainty, anxiety, and isolation. In this tactic, the manipulator ignores messages, calls, or attempts at conversation. This makes the victim feel rejected, insecure, and desperate for an explanation or resolution. The manipulator's goal is to make the victim question their behavior, feelings, and worth, leading them to take the blame for the silence and often apologize or make concessions even when they aren't at fault. Silence is a powerful weapon because humans naturally seek communication and validation. Without feedback, the victim can feel devalued and invisible, which hurts their self-esteem and emotional well-being. To deal with intentional silence, recognize that it is a form of emotional manipulation and not a reflection of your worth or guilt. Maintain your integrity, seek support from others, and express your feelings clearly without begging for attention. Establish clear boundaries and, if necessary, reassess the value and health of the relationship with the manipulator to protect your emotional well-being. Remember, practicing fairness is important. This means treating others justly and ensuring that your kindness or empathy isn't abused. Seek wisdom and truth by understanding situations deeply and avoiding quick judgments based on emotions. Please leave a comment writing "Success Chasers" so we will know that you followed the video up to here. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What do you think could be tactic number 15? Share your ideas and see you soon.